It's been coming to me since I was 5 years old. When I was 5 years old, there was always my spirit guide sitting on my shoulder, and he kept saying, "Mary, Mary." When I was a little girl, there was always this message saying, "Mary, Mary," and I was raised as a Christian Scientist, and I always thought that it was Mary Baker Eddy, who is the creator of Christian Science. I always thought it was Mary Baker Eddy trying to talk to me. That's what I thought for years. And then it was in 1987, when we were living in Turkey, Jesus Christ appeared to us in our room in Turkey. And actually Mary Magdalene and Yeshua ben Joseph had lived in that city where Yeshua ben Joseph appeared to us at that time. And so, and he didn't tell me I was Mary Magdalene at that time, but that was like one of the first things that happened. Then in 1992, my husband and I were woken up in the middle of the night and said, "Make God's movie. Make God's movie through music. Bring the music in. It's time to make God's movie. It's time, do it." So we kept getting woken up in the middle of the night saying, it's time to bring in God's frequencies. It's time to make God's movie. And it wasn't until 2001 that I found out that 1992 was the day that the Declaration of Peace, there was a treaty signed, which was when the Anunnaki finally agreed to have peace, and there had been a celebration of these 12 star groups that I'm talking about. This is the first time that there was peace between the 12 star groups, but that treaty didn't last long. The Anunnaki changed their mind in the year 1998, so that treaty was revoked. But the reason we were woken up in the middle of the night was to tell us that, our project has begun again, and that date was always known as the date of the promise. And we wrote an album called The Promise that year. It was all given to us, all channeled through us, and so that's one of the albums on our website. It's called The Promise. And I also have a book called The Promise of the Perfect Kingdom that tells the whole story of that one event that went on for 3 or 4 years, just that activation. And that was the year where the first harmonic frequencies, the first bass tone rhythms were brought to earth, and that was what was being channeled through us in our music at that time. But I didn't know why. The angels kept talking to me, kept saying, "You need to breathe like an angel, breathe like an angel." And I kept recording these frequencies and listening to this and asking them and saying, "Is this right? Is this right?" And this went on for years until in 2007, this group of angels came into our apartment when we lived in Redwood Shores, which is in the San Francisco area, and the Elohim of Hearing appeared before me and said, "I am bringing you the 3 Templars, and they're bowing before you. I'm returning to you the crystal light, crystal dust, crystal gel, and I'm showing you how to bring the highest frequencies to earth." And then so I went through this other recording process, and they gave me this God language, and that was the time period when I recorded what was called the Ascension Kit and the Ascension Portal Kit. This is what they kept directing me to do. Said, record these frequencies of ascension, record these frequencies that will open these portals. And so I just did it. I just kept doing what they said. And then this entity appeared to us in May 2008 and said, "Move to Monterey, California now." My husband had a $90,000 job as a engineer in Redwood City, and he just gave his resignation that day. We packed our bags and we moved to Monterey in 1 week. And that was that May, June, and July was when we were directed to open the first ascension portal in Monterey, California. And that was the thing that changed history. When we got that ascension portal open, while we were getting the ascension portal open, 3 demons jumped into my husband's body, and our spirit guide, who we called him Marcus at this time, later we found out his name was actually Elika, but Elika was with us through this whole time, and he started speaking through Joe and said, and Joe was dead. Joe died. He was possessed. His body was gone. He was somebody else. And Elika said, the only one that can bring Joe back is you. Put your soul in Joe and bring him back. And that's when I learned that I was Mary Magdalene, and that my soul was a twin flame soul that had been split in half, that Joe was actually the other half of me. So I put my soul within Joe, which brought him back, which re-brought the soul of Mary Magdalene back together, which was what they were actually trying to do.